Now that we're in WeVideo, let's take a look at some of the tools we can use. To begin, let's go up to Create New. When you select Create New, there's a drop-down. I like to begin with creating a video. You also have the opportunity to create a recording, which would be yourself, your computer, or both, as well as creating an animated GIF. Our choices there again will be the same dimensions of a regular movie, or you can create a podcast, which is geared towards creating content for the web. Let's begin with a video. The first thing it asks is, where would you like to save the content? What project would you like it to be in? I'm going to go ahead and start editing. On the right hand side, this is your preview window. It shows you what your video is going to look like. Up at the top are all your controls. In the middle is where you'll find your content, and on the bottom is where you will find your timeline. The timeline is where you would drop things in order to be able to create a new movie. Now that we have our to begin, we're going to need to modify or edit some content. There's lots of different ways to get content into WeVideo. We can import it so that you could bring it in from your computer. Simply select Browse to select and be able to pull it in. You also can import it from social media. The only one that we would be supporting would be Google Drive. So if you have movies or images in Google Drive and you want to import them, you simply select the Drive button and then it will open up Google Drive. The first time you select that, you may ask for permission to be able to access it, and you would just give permission by clicking through the link with Google. So I'm going to import something from Google Drive. So I've selected a content found in Google Drive, and it's now placed it in my bin, which is where all content will sit until you add it to your timeline. You'll notice that there is a bar here that is flashing. The bar at the bottom will stop flashing when the content is ready to be used. To add content to your timeline, you would place your mouse on top of it and drag it down to video 1. And now your movie is on the timeline. If you would like to trim it up so that it's not quite so long, you would move this blue bar to the spot where you would like to splice your movie, and you would use the scissor tool and select it. And now you'll notice it created a smaller piece of video, which you could get rid of, and then drag your movie back down. And now that piece is gone. It didn't remove it from the original movie, it's just modifying it on the timeline, so that when I'm all done and I export it, it'll only show the parts that I want it to. Now that I have content down, to do additional editing, I would hit the pencil tool. I would say Open Clip Editor. I can resize the video. I can flip the rotation. I can make it fit, or I can bring it back down into a box. Now, there is a wireframe around the movie, and there are controls at each corner so that you can drag it and make it whatever size that you need. The next tab is your cropping tool, which allows you to change what parts of the video you're looking at. So I could choose that, and I could say save changes, and then it will crop my video so that it is modified. My next tool after my cropping tool is the sound. I can fade in, fade out, and I also can increase my volume to about 500% from the original. My next tab is to animate, so I could make an object or a movie move over time. The key selector is fantastic for doing green screens. So if you were to shoot with a constant color background, you'd be able to select that color and remove it automatically. The next tab is to be able to modify the color and change the color in the way that the video looks right in the editor. And then this little stopwatch here, this allows me to change the speed of the video so I can increase or decrease how fast the video plays. Remember that if you increase the speed on a video, it will also modify the audio. And then there is a special effects tab as well, where you can apply particular effects on top of your video. And the last one is the trash can, which will delete it off of the timeline. If I do that, again, it doesn't modify the original video. It's still in my bin. I've just modified what's on the timeline. Now let's take a look at the tools that are up at the top here. Stock media gives you resources that were pre-shot and created for WeVideo. Let's take a look at an example. This is a short clip. It just shows a particular town. Each one of these has videos that you would, again, if you wanted to add it, you grab it, drag it down, and drop it in a place on the timeline where you would like it. My media, again, is where you will find the bin and where you have added content. Text allows you to add text on top of a video, like this, or on its own, like this. When I drag a text box down onto the timeline, you'll notice that it already has words. If you go to the pencil tool, you will see a box here, and this is where you would type in what it is you'd like it to say. As you type it, you'll notice that it is changing it in the box. So you can also change the color palette so that the words will change in color. And if you select the gear at the top, you have the same controls where you can scale, change the position, and flip it sideways or backwards or forwards. So those are all the controls you have for your text. The speech bubble will allow you to change the words. The little switches here will allow you to change the size, the rotation, and the position on the XY axis. With audio, you can import your own audio into your bin, but this also has music and different sound effects that have been added that you can add. A transition goes between one video and another. So if I were to grab this and drag it on between, I will create a transition between my clips. And the last one is backgrounds. You can add that down to the timeline. The way video works is whatever you want in the background goes on video 1, and anything you want on top will go on video 2. So So I could create a moving background, and I could add my text right on top of it. So I could grab some text, drag it on top of my moving background, and as I play, it will show up. Let's go back to my media for a second. There are three main ways to be able to create your own original content. You can import it from your computer or from Google Drive. You also can record on the fly. So if you hit the record button, it will give you three choices. You can record from your webcam, that would be recording yourself. You can record the screen, which would be just recording whatever's on your computer, or you could do both, where it would record your screen and it would also record you from the webcam, and it would place that in the corner. When it's all done, you could move it to whatever corner you want. And the last one is narration, where you can record your voice. It will record over whatever video is already on the timeline. It will add that audio on top of it. Once you have created your video and it looks just the way you would like it to, you would select Finish. You would give it a name, and then you would export it. And that's because what you put on the timeline doesn't exist as a self-contained movie. You need to export it out of the program. Now, it will automatically export it to WeVideo, but you also can select Google Drive. When you do that the first time, it may ask you to authenticate, and this will place your video inside of Google Drive so that it's easy for you to share later on. The resolution is good at standard definition if you're just going to be sharing it with your kids. High definition is a much larger video, so this would be a larger video. It would take up more room on your computer. This is smaller. For most of the work that we're doing, standard definition will work just fine. If you're going to be showing it in the auditorium, I would recommend high definition. And then you would select export, and it would then place the video in your Google Drive for you in a folder titled WeVideo. So those are the different parts of WeVideo.